I've gathered some friends and made some people aware of how important it really, really is to protect our kids.
Charlie and I have been friends for over 40 years. I respect him a lot, not only as an athlete, but as a person. And when he wanted to put this together, where he could raise money to help kids who had, problems with their heart, there was no doubt that I wasn't going to be a part of this.
Charlie, I mean, if there's a better guy in America than Charlie Sanders, I don't know where he is.
The moving part was that it led me to realize how fortunate I've been and how much I can give to take care of a problem that's very easily rectified.
It's all about lives. It's all about lives and saving lives.
And with those words from Charlie Sanders, we say good evening from Knollwood Country Club in West Bloomfield. Welcome to Fox 2's coverage of Charlie's 2016 Celebrity Golf Outing. I'm Dan Miller. Great to have you here with what promises to be a powerful and informative 30 minutes. We, of course, lost Charlie shortly after this event last year, but his dream and his vision go on. This tournament raises money and awareness for a cause that Charlie felt very strongly about: the need for healthy heart checks for young athletes, heart checks that can save lives, and his passion was fueled by lives lost and tragedies that could have been prevented. The death of Wes Leonard, the basketball player who died suddenly on the court in 2011, made many of us aware of this problem. What a lot of us didn't know is that sudden cardiac arrest is the #1 killer of student athletes. Tonight, you will learn more about this issue, and we would love to have your help along the way. You'll see a number at the bottom of your screen throughout the next half hour. That allows you to get involved with your donations. That money will go straight to Charlie's Foundation, and Charlie's Foundation is one that provides the healthy heart checks for young student athletes here in Michigan. Less than $9 can provide a healthy heart check that could save a young athlete's life, and so far Charlie's Foundation has raised more than $250,000 for the cause. Coming up, you will hear stories of lives lost and lives saved. You'll hear from Dave Bing, Tom Izzo, Jim Caldwell. Others will be along as well. It is my pleasure to open up the show. To my far left, we have Dr. Stephen Albany from Beaumont Hospital, and Charlie's daughter, Cherise Sanders-Saylor, is here as well. And Cherise, it is great to have you here.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. It is great to see your family as always. And I know Charlie loved the Detroit Lions. He loved his family. But he loved this cause as well, and it was very important to him in the final years of his life.
Yes, it was. He loved kids, had plenty of his own, but really wanted to be sure that in our quest to pursue athletics and play sports, that we make sure that we take care of the fundamentals, our heart. And this is near and dear to him, and I'm just so thankful for the turnout today to support the cause and further it.
You know, the cause is growing. Dr. Stephen Albany is a cardiologist with a practice in Troy, and one of the driving forces behind Beaumont Hospital's Healthy Heart Check program, and one that continues to grow. And at this point, Dr. Albany, it's the largest in the country.
We have done, Dan, 13,000 kids at this point. Now, I want to stop. Do you realize in the last 2 minutes the sun just came out? Is that Charlie looking?
There might be some help, because 30 minutes ago that was a question.
It looked bad. But we have expanded from a program that was really grassroots, that people didn't think we should do, and now we've screened over 13,000 kids, now the biggest program in the United States.
And bottom line is, we are talking about potentially fatal heart conditions that can oftentimes be treated, but are not conditions that we would find with a normal student-athlete health check.
I'm sure you remember when you and I were in high school, you had the physician check you for hernias. Well, you know, as we joke about, kids don't die of hernias.
Right.
They die of heart problems, and the numbers will scare you. If you look at the genetic abnormality we're looking for, which is a thickened heart called the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, 1 out of 500 kids. If you look at Division I basketball, and we're going to talk to Tom Izzo in a minute, 1 out of 4,000 of those kids die playing basketball. 1 out of 4,000 of the best conditioned athletes in the country.
And Teresa, I imagine that for the family, keeping this foundation going, keeping the cause alive, is a way to celebrate Charlie's life.
It definitely is. You know, it's tough. We celebrated his life the last time we were here, and it's tough to come back. But at the same time, what a blessing to be able to celebrate such a great man that happened to be our dad, who took time out for everybody and really, really cared with his heart. So So though it's very hard to do this, it's so necessary because it was never about him. If you knew him, it was never about Dad. It was about everybody else.
Dr. Albany, let me ask you, where do we go from here? I know that you're trying to get the state involved.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough one because this is not something insurance pays for, and you alluded to in the first couple minutes. You know, we have this down to less than $9 a kid, which is amazing. It's mostly a volunteer staff. But this is not a Beaumont thing. This is not a Charlie Sanders thing. This is not Detroit Lions. We want this to spread across the country. This is just the right thing to do. Yes. And we want people to see how we're doing this, and we want them to do it in their own hometown. And I can sit here today, Dan, and say I know we've saved a lot of lives, and I want everybody else to do that too.
Well, we appreciate what you do, Dr. Albany. We appreciate you being here, Sharice. Thank you so much. It is great to see you and your family again, and especially with the sun shining and celebrating a great man like Charlie. Now, oftentimes, unfortunately, we become aware of this problem through tragedy. We mentioned Wes Leonard. In a few minutes, you will meet the parents of Thomas Smith, who died of sudden cardiac arrest back in 2012. But there are also stories, thankfully, of intervention and success, and young people alive to talk about their journey. Jennifer Hammond picks up one story from there.
There's not a day that goes by that Clarence Austin Kennedy doesn't reflect on his second chance. Divine intervention, he believes, was the direct result of a student heart check in December of 2015.
It just seemed unreal, like it just came out of nowhere. I never had any symptoms, and
felt great.
I felt probably the best shape of my life.
But in reality, the 19-year-old freshman wrestler at Adrian College was on the verge of a catastrophic cardiac event due to a congenital heart defect known as a bicuspid aortic valve.
I was working out like almost every day. I went for runs, went for lifts. I was actually the day they told me I was about to go down to the high school to wrestle with my little brother. And then all of a sudden, I have to stop everything because my heart is to the point where I could have some kind of event.
Sudden cardiac death isn't unfamiliar to the administrators at Adrian College. It was another athlete, Chris Keenest, whose own near-fatal heart diagnosis in 2010 was the catalyst for the school to begin providing free heart checks to all students.
After that situation, after Chris, because he had a really close call, you know, and then made us question, are we doing enough? And when you do look at the research, you see that 80% of sudden cardiac death, there's no symptoms prior to it. And then athletes are 3 times more likely to have a sudden cardiac episode.
This is a little thing that's actually a very, very big thing that can be missed if you're not careful. And so one of the things that we're hoping is that what we're doing here will go viral, and schools all across Michigan and in fact the country will say, hey, we need to do that too.
Both my other brothers go to D3 colleges as well, and their colleges have never done anything like this. And it's just crazy to believe that the one college that I chose was something that was one where they tested this sort of thing and was able to actually save my life.
Now, nearly 3 months removed from his open heart surgery to repair that faulty valve, Kennedy is back in the gym, working harder than ever for his return to the mat next fall, when he once again will be able to wrestle for Adrian College.
I feel like I probably feel a lot more nervous than I have before, but it's just going to be probably surreal.
Like the whole event it's been?
Yeah, like it's all led up to that one moment, and we'll see where it goes.
It's a great story, and remember, the test that revealed that young man's condition and in all likelihood kept him alive is less than $9. We'd love to have your donation. Phone number's at the bottom of the screen. Back with Dave Bing right after this.
What is it about his legacy you think that will carry on the most? What will people remember the most about him as a guy and a man and a player?
You know, I have an advantage because we were on the field and we watched him, and he gave everything he had every minute. And, you know, I think that's the way you should live life anyway. You know, and if I was in a foxhole, bring him on. I'll go with Charlie anytime.
Mike Lucci, one of Charlie's former teammates. We're here at Charlie Sanders' annual celebrity golf tournament. Joining me now is Dave Bing. And David, it's great to have you here. And I know that your relationship with Charlie goes back a long ways. Talk to me about how that all started between you two.
Well, Charlie, I came here in '66. Charlie came in '68. You know, Lem, Mel, Charlie, myself, we became extremely close. Our families are very, very close. I mean, they would have me down at all the football games at Old Tiger Stadium, and they would come to the basketball games. So we became very, very dear friends. But, you know, what's happened over the years that all of us, none of us are from here, and all of us wanted to be here. Sure. So all of our careers, we were here, and we wanted to be in Detroit, and we were very, very close.
What does this cause mean to you? I've seen you out here every year, and I know that's because of your relationship with Charlie, but also because this is something you believe in.
Absolutely. Charlie was a dear friend, and he came upon something that I think was very important to him. And it was important to me because I was very close to him. I'll tell you, you know, what really separates Charlie from so many other athletes was that he stayed in one organization his whole life. And if he was not the athlete that he was, but more importantly, the person that he was, I don't think the Lion organization would have supported him the way they did. And I'm just so happy that so many people are remembering him, honoring him for who he was and what he did and what he means to this area.
Well, it is great to have you here. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the time that you give us every year. Just having Dave Bing in the house means a lot to all these people. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you so much.
Dave Bing joining us right there. You know, Charlie's efforts brought together so many people, some unfortunately that were touched by tragedy, including the family that you're about to meet. Jennifer Hammond's got that story.
Thank you, Dan. We're joined by some very special guests here this afternoon who in 2011, January of 2011, lost their son. And Mary, I want to start with you. He died of sudden cardiac arrest. And you guys have really made a huge effort since his death to put the word out there about testing. How so?
Yes, we have. We realized how difficult it has been in our lives losing a child, and we just can't imagine it happened to another family. So we are in the process and have purchased cardiac equipment, and we take it around to different schools and we screen the youngsters trying to find any type of heart ailments that they may have.
One of the things that we often talk about for parents going forward is a legacy. Tell me a little bit about the organization that you guys have started and how it's kind of helped to heal, if you will, your experience and share it with others.
Well, we were definitely dealt a lemon, and we've made lemonade. Our son wanted to be in the medical field, and he is. He's saving lives. So if we can take kids that have no idea they have a heart ailment and either prove they don't, or occasionally we find those ones that do have problems, we're doing our job. We're doing exactly what we're supposed to be here to do.
And Mary, give me a little sense of some of the other things that you guys are doing, not only through the organization, but as parents, to kind of get Congress and some legislators to make some changes.
Oh, you bet. We are doing everything we can. We would love to have CPR training, and we would love to have EKGs available during student heart checks and student sports screenings, and make it a mandatory requirement in our schools.
All right, and let me finally wrap up with you, Jacob, a memory, if you can, share of Tommy, so that people get a little sense of who your brother was.
Well, his constant smile, always wanting to be there and help out others, and I think that goes directly what we're doing today, is always trying to help out those that need it the most.
All right, thank you guys so much for being here. I know it's not easy to talk about, but doing amazing work. Dan, and anybody at home that's watching can also get involved. Just go to the website, tommysheart.org. We're going to send it back to you, Dan.
All right, Jen, thank you very much. So many great organizations getting involved in this cause. Again, you can see the phone number down at the bottom of the screen to donate to Charlie's Foundation, the website there as well. When we come back, Tom Izzo will be alongside. We'll take a break.
Just because your child has had a physical doesn't necessarily mean he's had his heart checked. And so if you're watching this, you just simply ask yourself, ask your spouse, you know, has Junior gotten his heart checked in his examination? If he hasn't, then it's you as a parent, it's your responsibility to take care of that.
Charlie Sanders back in 2014 talking about the cause that brought us all here, that is student heart checks, and Tom Izzo alongside. It is great to have you here, first of all. We appreciate the time that you give us every year. And I've said this to you before. Charlie once said to me, I knew when we got Izzo that we were going to be all right. And it meant so much to him to have you here?
Well, Charlie was great, and unfortunately we lost a kid in our camp to that, and but you see the star-studded group that's here. Steve Almany's done such a great job, and Bill Keenis and the Lions. I see Jim Caldwell here, and Dave Binks. We got another hooper here, so that helps me a little bit with all these oblong ball guys that are here. But it's just great what they've done, and I think to keep this going is a great tribute to Charlie.
And it's a great tribute that you get involved as well, because I know Dr. Almany was talking about they're trying to get involved at the state level to mandate these checks, and anytime you can get a Tom Izzo behind you on a cause like that, it means a lot.
Well, I think, when you think about the kids, I mean, that's what it is for, and it's amazing. There's been a couple cases that we've dealt with that guys have died right in the court, and boy, anytime you can help that with a test that's not that time consuming, it's just a matter of getting it done. And thank God for Charlie and the group and the money they raise. Gives these guys the ability to go out and hopefully test thousands and thousands and thousands of high school athletes.
Yeah, Dr. Almany talked about the fact that they have 13,000 tests done to date at Beaumont, largest in the country. Before you go, let me hit you with this. You got a date in September coming up. It's being inducted into the Naismith Basketball Hall of Fame. You're just going in there with guys like Shaquille O'Neal, that's all. Have you wrapped your head around that one yet?
Every once in a while I do, and then it seems too mind-boggling to me. I mean, it's been something that when I was there the day they announced it, and to sit up there with those guys made me realize how big of a deal it is. But they tell me it's not going to hit you until the induction itself, and I'm looking forward to it. But must admit, a little nervous about it, too.
Well, Dave Bing's in here. You might be able to get him to give you the secret handshake before you go.
I'm going to talk to Dave about that. We just talked a little bit earlier, but how great is it to see all these athletes here, these former. I see Mike Lucci over there and different guys like that. The Lions have their new president, GM here. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. I think that speaks for how important Charlie was to this whole community, but definitely the state of Michigan, the Detroit Lions.
Great man, great cause. Tom, we appreciate the time. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it.
All right, Tom Izzo joining us right here. Take a break, come right back. Lions head coach Jim Caldwell is next. Stay with us. Welcome back, everybody, to the Charlie Sanders Celebrity Golf Tournament. It's great to have you here. Number at the bottom of the screen if you want to donate to Charlie's Foundation for Student Heart Checks. Lions head coach Jim Caldwell joins me now, and it is great to have you here. And I have, long before you came to Detroit, you knew the name Charlie Sanders, and you knew what kind of man that he was. But I have to imagine coming here with your respect for the game and the people in it, working with him had to be very special.
Well, it was, and I had heard quite a bit about him through the years. Even Tony Dungy talked about him and the legacy that he left, obviously up in the same part of the country where they all both went to school. But then also I was living in North Carolina, so I heard about Charlie even coming out of Greensboro. His father worked for University of North Carolina A&T as a professor over there, so he's had a long history of excellence in his family.
It is great to see the turnout that we get from the Lions here. You must have had a bus of your young guys that came in, and they went straight for the food, and there wasn't much left after they were done. But you and I have talked about this before. From the outset, you tell them this is part of the deal. This is part of being a pro football player.
Well, I think that's without question. It's kind of what we do for other people. We have a platform upon which we are very fortunate to have an opportunity to play in this league and to coach in this league, and it's our duty to give back to our community.
And to think about this cause and to see a student athlete struck down without ever knowing that there was anything wrong. If we have a chance to prevent that, it only seems like the right thing to do.
Well, there's no question about it. One of the things, and speaking of Charlie, the first time that I met him face to face, the second thing that we talked about, the first was greeting back and forth. The second thing was just talking about this event. And what
you knew how to lasso you in.
There's no question about it, and but it meant so much to him as well. It was something dear to his heart, and he expressed that, and I could tell that, without question, that we wanted to get involved with it as well.
It's easy for you to make that jump, though, because you work with young people your whole life, and you know how precious life is.
It certainly is, and to have an opportunity to prevent one from losing their life, I think is extremely important. It's, I think, $20, I think, for the test in itself, and so obviously if we do it right here, we can raise a lot of money and help a lot of young people.
Absolutely. Coach, we appreciate the time. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Right, there is Lions head coach Jim Caldwell joining us right here. That's going to do it for this year. We appreciate you joining us again. Hopefully you have learned a little something about sudden cardiac arrest, the testing that can find out the conditions that can prevent that. As Coach said, it doesn't cost a lot for the test. We'd love you to get involved. There is still a number at the bottom of your screen. Any amount helps, and it helps to keep Charlie's dream alive of getting those healthy heart checks and trying to avoid the kind of tragedies that have become all too common. 1 every 3 days across the United States. That's how often we lose a student athlete. Events like this can help to prevent that. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you on Fox 2 News at 10. Have a great night, everybody.